Okay. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, greetings. I was at a Christmas work party once. I was drinking alcohol. Some of my workmates were shocked. They sidled up to me and breathlessly inquired, "James, I didn't think you drank alcohol." I deadpanned my response. I said, "It's not that I don't drink alcohol, it's just that I don't pay for alcohol." Did you know that you demonstrate your true nature when faced with a crisis situation? In my case, at that time, I used to be cheeky and cheap. I believe I've matured since then. Have you ever wondered what you would do if faced with a bomb threat? I never did wonder until it happened to me. It happened like this. I was visiting Indonesia in July 2001. Remember, that was just 2 months before the attack on the World Trade Center. I was on a 2-week mission to donate a PC to a Bible college and set up their computer network. While I was living on the premises, the local Muslims phoned in a bomb threat. I suppose that the neighbours were fairly upset about the presence of a Christian college, despite it being there for over 20 years. Not a shining example of tolerance, is it? I realised I had one of only 3 options available to me: fight, flight, or faith. Now, by fight, I don't mean turning on the neighbours. What I mean is reacting to the situation in my own strength, going on a hunt to try and find the threatened bomb. Indeed, there were staff and students doing just that, out of their rooms, looking shocked, worried, and concerned. Imagine yourself in this situation. It would be natural, as a Christian minority in a Muslim majority country, to be absolutely overcome with fear. It would be like Jews in Nazi Germany. I realised that my nice, safe, little country of New Zealand had not prepared me for this level of intimidation. Despite the pressure I felt, something else in me rejected this option. The second option available to me was the flight response. I could have left the Bible college and gone to stay in a nice, safe hotel until my actual flight home. This would have meant rejecting the hospitality of my hosts. It might even have meant leaving behind my meager possessions. I had at least brought a suitcase of clothes. This could have been a perfectly reasonable course of action. It is no shame to escape a helpless situation. As Demosthenes said, "Better to retreat and marshal your forces than to waste a glorious death in sure defeat." I realised at this point that there was no way to know for sure whether a bomb actually existed. If it did, there was no way to know for sure where it was in the school. And finally, if it went off, there was no way to know for sure how large would be the blast. For all these reasons, I chose the third option. I decided to have faith in God. If I died, I died. In the Apostle Paul's inspired letter to the Philippians, he writes, "To live is gain, to die is gain. Living, I get to enjoy time with my friends and family. Dying, I get to enjoy eternity with my Lord." I chose not to live with fear. I choose not to live in fear. I choose to live without fear. I chose to go to bed. I didn't feel particularly brave doing this act. I wasn't deliberately setting out to set an example or to be some great hero or even to obey my Lord. I was just tired and wanted to go to bed. My upbringing had not prepared me to deal with the situation, so I was choosing to ignore it. In the end, it was serendipitously the right decision. There was no bomb. The threat was merely meant to instill terror. Subsequent to September 11, the world has changed. we are more aware that there are physical forces who despise our way of life. We are more cautious. But my hope is this, that when faced with the decision whether to fight the situation or fly from it or exercise faith in the face of it, that I and you would choose to exercise faith more often. This doesn't mean refusing to fight injustice. As John Wesley said, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. This doesn't mean ignoring every threat. It does mean weighing my options and trying to determine what would Jesus do. I entitled today's speech, Break Glass. This was a reference to those fire switches beside doors at public venues which state, in case of emergency, break glass. This is so you can get to the switch and activate it. This is so that you can sound the alarm and alert people to a serious situation. This is so that they may flee the fire. But the glass is there for a reason. It is there to protect the switch against being used casually or accidentally. Because there are people who just want to watch the world run around in circles in a paddock. It amuses them. You and I have the opportunity to be the glass. In a world without faith that only has the fight or flight response left, we get to show them a third way. We get to intercede on their behalf. We get to determine what's a real fire and what's an imagined fire. In summary, the lesson I want you to take away from my experience with the bomb threat is this simple. In order to determine whether a perceived threat is real or imagined, you have to read the BIBLE, Beginner's Instructions Before Leaving Earth. Thank you, Madam Toastmasters.
Well done.
Thank you, James. And